Hey everybody, this is Ryan Lockett. I'm here with Mallory.
Hi.
And we are going to talk about the new combat system in Sleeping Gods Distant Skies.
We've got it all set up here, and as you'll notice, it looks a lot like Sleeping Gods. We still have the grid system with the enemies. We've got our characters here, fewer than in Sleeping Gods.
Yeah, fewer. And then let me just mention as well that we have a prototype here, so any of this is subject to change for the final version.
Right, so now we're going to talk to you about what's different.
So there's no more defense on the enemy cards. The way defense worked in the original game is they each had a number, and you had to draw and add accuracy to see if your weapon hit the enemy when you attack them. But now you always hit. Okay, so one other change is that characters no longer equip weapons. Instead, there's a combat deck, and every round you draw cards from this deck and play them.
So each player will draw one more card than characters they control. So we're not going to count Claire, but I control Jesse and Miguel, so I will draw 3.
And I control Azarius and Ed, so I draw 3.
In each combat round, we will play a total of 4 cards. So I'm going to play one on each of my characters.
Right.
Ryan will play one on each of his characters. And that's the end of the combat round. Your extra card will stay in your hand, you'll redraw, and you'll start a new round.
At the start of each combat, you place power equal to the power symbols on the enemy. So he's got 2, the necrotic goat, and so do these guys. Okay. So the first card I will play is the whip. So Ed's going to use the whip on the burning eye. Now the whip deals 1 damage. So I will place it over one of these spaces. I'm going to place it over this, which is the burning ability. And this means at the end of the combat round during the enemy phase, he'll cause one of our characters to have burning. So let's cover that up so he doesn't have that ability anymore. Then he has a remove power symbol. So I get to remove 1 power from the eye. And then he has 2 block. Now, just like in the original game, the character counterattacks immediately. So he deals 2 damage, this is his basic damage, plus however many power tokens he has. And he has 1. So he deals 3, I block 2, and I take 1 damage.
So for right now, we're going to ignore these symbols. These will come in on the end of the combat round. So I think that for me, let's see, am I the active player? Do I get to use Claire?
Yes.
Okay, so Claire is going to use a machete. This will be fun because, sorry, I'm going to cover you up, Claire. She also has a reroll, so if I use this combat die and I get a poor result, I can reroll. So let's try the combat die. The combat die goes from -1 to 3.
Everything in the game has more HP and deals more damage than the original game. So dealing 3 damage, that's like a huge deal in Sleeping Gods 1, but not so much in this game, not quite as much.
It's all going to balance out. Okay, I have to choose who I'm attacking. I think I will also attack the Burning Eye. So let's roll. Oh, lucky me!
Beautiful.
I will not re-roll that, so I get 5 damage. Let's go to where it's really needed. So I'm going to cover up this 2 and this 3, and you'll notice that we still have synergy symbols on the grid, which means I can take one of these synergy tokens. They aren't specific like in Sleeping Gods. These are just generic synergy tokens, which I can give to any character. I'm going to give this one to Azarius. And then certain combat cards will have synergy abilities on them. And
yeah,
we will use one of those.
That's right. So I'm going to use that right now, actually. Okay. So I'll have Azarius use the Whirlwind Hit card on the Burning Eye. So okay, so I roll, first thing I do, roll the die. Okay, -1, that's too bad. So I got actually only 1 damage. I'm going to place it here. So I'm going to activate his synergy ability now, which is spend 1 token to deal 1 damage to an adjacent enemy. So
doesn't it say each adjacent
enemy?
Oh,
to each adjacent enemy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's way better.
Even better.
So he's going to punch both of these goats at the same time. Let's put this...
that makes sense with the whirlwind.
Right.
Now, can these go anywhere?
Oh, they can, because it's not, it's a separate hit. Normally the damage has to be adjacent, but these are separate hits. So
cool.
Let's put this right there, and let's cover up. Oh, you know what? We're going to cover up their power symbols. And that gives me 2 synergy tokens, actually, which I will give to your characters there.
Now, I just realized Jesse forgot
he attacks
to take
back.
damage.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so at this point when I attacked the Burning Eye, there was only 1 power token. Now,
okay.
Oh, it wasn't Jesse, it was Claire. Claire has no defense, so she would have taken 3 damage.
That's right. And Azarius, he has 1 block for this, but he'll take the 2 damage.
Okay, I'm excited that Ryan gave Jessie a synergy token. She is going to do a double punch. And let's see, am I ambitious? Do I think I could get 3 with this? So I'm covering up her strength. But here, she has 1 strength, and the double punch lets me add strength. It starts out with 0. It's a little risky.
But she has this here as well.
Oh, yes, perfect. So she has 2 strength plus a die roll. Let's go for it.
Nice.
I'm rolling so well. Actual results may vary.
Right.
Okay, so we get 2 strength plus a 3. And then also, just because I'm feeling, well, no. Yeah, that'll be great. So some of the resources actually have symbols on them that you can use directly in combat. This has 1 attack symbol, so I can just add that in. So I'm going to spend this resource. Whoop. That gives me 1 extra attack for a total of 6. I was targeting the Burning Eye, so I have to start there. Let's do 3 of the 6 right there, and I gave Ed 1 synergy token for that. And then with splash damage, you can actually attack an adjacent enemy, just like in Sleeping Gods, but remember, we have to make sure that the damage on the adjacent enemy is either equal to or less than the damage on the targeted enemy. I can pull that off with 6. I did 3 here, and then I'll do the other 3 right here and here. Now only the targeted enemy will attack me back, so I have 1, 2, plus 1 power, and I don't have any blocks, so I'll just take 3 damage.
Now we defeated the Burning Eye, but you'll notice it counterattacked even though it was defeated, and that's one other change from the original Sleeping Gods.
I was so excited that I got 6 damage. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that the Burning Eye was defeated.
Yep.
So, yep, and then we slide the 2 goats together. They're now adjacent.
Okay.
Now, at the end of each combat round, we're going to discard our combat cards.
Yep, that's right. Put these in a discard pile next to the combat deck. And now we're in the enemy phase. The first thing they do is they gain power equal to their symbols on the grid that are uncovered. So this guy, this necrotic goat, gets 1 more power. And this one also gets 1 more power. It was a good thing we covered up some of those power symbols, though, because they each would have had 4 otherwise. And then they activate any end round abilities. So this one heals itself 1. This one also does the same thing. But that's it. They actually don't counterattack at the end of the round, so it moves a little bit faster. And then all players will draw 1 card for each of their characters they control. So I had 1 card left from last round, and I just drew 2 more. So I've got 2 pistol cards now and the precise strike. So this was 1 combat round. And I just want to mention that this was a very easy combat encounter. In fact, easier than probably any encounter you would find in the game.
Yeah.
But there's a new change that's pretty important, and that's in many of these combat encounters, you can retreat. So you'll be exploring, and you'll come upon these horrible monsters, maybe too hard for you, and you'll say, oh my gosh, we got to get out of here. You'll run away, mark it on the map, and then say, hey, maybe when we level up a little bit, we can come back later.
So you don't just have to fight it out to the death.
Yeah, that's right.
You can regroup.
Yeah, not always, but most of the time you can run away. So let me show you these cards really quick. These are enemy buff cards. So if you're playing the hard mode of Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, every time you have combat, you draw these randomly and give 1 to each enemy card. They increase their health, but they also give them new special abilities to add extra challenge. So this one is quick. So if you gave this to the necrotic goat, now it's a quick necrotic goat. And the effect here is that it counterattacks before you can apply combat card effects. So it attacks you first. And this one, rampaging, it deals 1 damage to each character at the end of the round. This one is steadfast, so it blocks 1 every time you attack it. And there's a whole bunch of these abilities, and it makes combat, it gives it an extra challenge for those that are playing the difficult mode.
All right. Stay tuned for further death and destruction.